Let me pull up my, yeah, okay, good enough. So for those of you who are new here, I'm Mike Bifulco. I am the Director of Technology for thegymnasium.com. If you check out thegymnasium.com, we offer free courses on software design and development. All our courses are free. You can go create an account right now. So you can go create an account right now, and you can take our courses anytime you want. And our website is built on OpenEdX, so it's open source, and by nature of that, sort of our development process is also open source. So I try and stream my development process about once a week. So every Tuesday from 1:30 to 3 o'clock on live coding, I will be doing streaming. Today, I will be working on some sort of auxiliary features that we're building into Gymnasium, which is eventually, soon, we'll be running job listings, I should say, on our homepage here. And part of that is that we want to offer jobs that are sensitive to your location. So today I'll be playing around with HTML5 geolocation, as well as some JavaScript endpoints that are given to me by my team if we get far enough along. But for starters, I'm going to basically write a piece of software that will determine your geolocation and using the web browser, of course, and then map that to the closest market that the Gymnasium's job listings will service. So I will be doing my best to, I should pull up my window here. I should be monitoring chats as we go along here. I'm only on one monitor today, so if I lose track of the chat, my colleague Andrew will be on the chat monitoring it as well. So let's get started. So the first thing I wanted to show was just a very simple instructional page on how geolocation works in HTML5. It was added to, so geolocation gives the browser the ability to figure out roughly where you are based on your IP address and a number of other things. This was added to the HTML5 spec, and eventually we sort of made it into common parlance as far as browser syntax goes. You can see that browser support has been around for a while, so Firefox 3.5, Chrome 49, IE 9, Safari 5, it's been around for a while. So the way it works is it's essentially some added functionality that goes into the JavaScript command set. So the example that W3 Schools gives actually is a quick JavaScript example that grabs an element from the DOM and just uses the geolocation from the navigator object, gets your current location based on what the browser tells it to. So if you have your browser settings enabled to allow geolocation, then it will feed a latitude and longitude to the browser window. So to demo that, I have a JS bin here. Excuse me. And so this is literally, this is the editor that W3 Schools gives you. I've taken the JavaScript and HTML code from that, dumped it into an HTML and JavaScript code set in a JS bin, and set it up so that when you click on try it, it should get your location. However, I appear to have disabled geolocation on Chrome on my laptop here, and I was just futzing around with settings trying to figure out how to make that work again before getting on the stream here this afternoon, when I decided that it would just be easier for the sake of things to use a different browser. So this is the same JS bin open on a different browser. I'm not logged in here for better or worse, but you can see here that when I click on try it, it asks if I want to share my location. I'll say always. Actually, and I'll even clear this. There we go. And it takes a second, but there's my latitude and longitude that come back. So let's see how good that is. I'm pretty sure there's a way to how do you search Google Maps for latitude and longitude? Using I see. Merely type your coordinates. Right, great. Okay. So we'll use a different service. Latlong.net sounds great. So this is what I got back. 35 and negative 80. 35, negative 80. And find. That's not exactly what I wanted. Oh, I see. So this does not work backwards. That's frustrating. What a terrible interface. There we go. 35, negative 80. Convert. Let's see. Lindsville, North Carolina. That's close to where I am. I'm in Charlotte. Let's see. I'm going to put in the actual values I got here. We'll see how close it gets. That's not what I wanted. Okay, so as you can see, if I grab these, this should be pretty close to where I am, which is always a dangerous thing to do. Yeah, that's close enough. So I'm in the city here. So that's pretty close to my location. It's probably a router in the neighborhood provided by my internet service provider. So let's play around with this some more. So what I want to do is basically grab the latitude and longitude from this position, and instead of just dumping them out to the screen, I want to take them and figure out which city it's closest to. So essentially what we're going to end up doing is some simple trigonometry or geometry to find the Cartesian distance between 2 points on a map. So first, let's save these things into some variables. So I'm going to start modifying this code a bit here. I should probably log in. Oh, this is going to be a pain, isn't it? How about no? Give me a second. This is the kind of stuff I definitely shouldn't show on the stream. Let you all log into my account. Ooh. Good enough. Okay. So now I'm logged in. At least I can save these changes and whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to start taking these and basically I'm going to mock out what I want to do. So I'm going to have a get location and a show position function. That's fine. Oh, interesting. I didn't see that this was duplicated here. So let's click this again, make sure it's working. Okay, so this is my copy of this now so that JSPin stops complaining. There we go. Latitude and longitude come through. HTML and JavaScript are split out. And I'm going to start modifying this. So let's write it up as pseudocode first. So let's see. I want to get users location, save lat and launch. Compare that to known markets, meaning that Gymnasium only will have job offerings for certain markets that our parent company sort of services. So we want to choose the one that's closest to you. And then query jobs API for jobs nearest market. So this one I'm going to split off because we probably won't touch that on the stream because that'll be some internal APIs and stuff like that. That's not too interesting to look at. So we'll look at this get users location. We probably have this done already. We'll save the latitude and longitude. There's going to be a couple. Actually, there are a couple of cases that go in here. So geolocation is enabled. Use this as location to geolocation not enabled. Pick default behavior. And then actually there's going to be kind of case 0 might be the best. Well, this is a case that we may not actually serve. User is logged in, skip geolocation and use their market. Okay. So I hope that makes some sense. So basically this is saying that when I have students logged into Gymnasium, we know what market they belong to already, because that's kind of one of the things that we ask for when you register. So we ask for full name, first name, last name, and then email and password, and then a region. So there are a handful of regions in here. You can go look at them yourself if you're interested. And so let's start poking around with this. So, okay, so I'm just going to start moving my code into here. I don't really need to do any of this inner HTML stuff, so I'm going to get rid of this X. So let's start moving this in here. Okay. Get location. So I see. If user is logged in. So here I'm going to put a clause because I'll have to test this in an actual edX environment. So we'll do that next. We're going to do this one here. If geolocation is enabled, is this down here. And then in here, geolocation is not enabled. Now we'll come down here and instead of save, this should maybe be return. And then we're going to have a function called get market from geolocation lat long. So that should describe pretty well what we're doing here. You can see this show position function is being called as a callback function. So in here is where we'll put get market from geolocation. And it looks like it comes back only as a single position. So I'm actually going to leave that here. Position. And we'll do get market from geolocation. Shrink down some of these page sizes here. Okay, we'll run this again. Yeah, okay. So the good news is that I can test this geolocation not enabled using Chrome right now. So I should be able to just switch to the other browser and refresh this tab, I think. Oh no, looks like it changed the name. That's fine. We'll get around to that. Okay, so here we go. Step one. Get market. We'll call that function get market because it's just going to return a market because that's what the API needs fed to it. Okay, so the API that we use actually takes the string of the name, which is why I'm passing names, strings across as opposed to IDs or something like that, or additional coordinates. So we're going to say, I'm just going to get rid of this for now. Fair market equals default. Return market. Wonderful. And instead of interacting with the output here, I'm going to add a console, and I'm just going to do console.log get market semicolon. Now when this runs, perfect. Okay, so it'll print out the nearest market. That's easier than having to click a button every time, so I'm going to mix this. And I will now hide the HTML. There we go, that's a little simpler. Okay. So, okay, cleaning up a little bit. All right, so now we are basically at a point where I'm going to say in here, market equals Boston as our default for now. That may change. And that'll only actually, I should put that here. So that's the default. So at least we get something nice back. We might in this clause show a warning or something like that, or show like, hey, if you let us see your location, we can do lots of cool stuff. Here's how you can re-enable your location. But for now, let's work here. So we'll say var lat equals position dot coord. This is not a string, position. Okay. Our latitude and our longitude. That's perfect. Okay, so at some point I'm going to have to create a list of all of our markets, which is fine. That's easy enough to do. For starters, I will just put a variable up here. Here's our markets. This is going to be an array of strings. Actually, this may be an array of objects. Yeah, I think this is going to have to be an array of objects. Okay, this will take me a minute. So, market is Boston. Lat 30, 130. So this is what each market will look like. So this is going to be an array of JSON objects that will each have a latitude and a longitude. I should really write these out because it's a little more readable that way. Okay. So I'm just going to copy this, and we will update the latitude and longitude in a bit here. Boston, New York. Atlanta, we'll do Chicago, and Tokyo. Okay, so let's go over to, here we go, we'll pull up some latitudes and longitudes. So we'll say Boston, 42.36, bring this over here. Go. These may get updated later. That's fine. For our uses, this will prove this out just fine. This is the center of Manhattan, apparently. Atlanta. Now some of our markets will be interesting because they might have more than just a point. So for example, we have a New York market and also a Connecticut market. So if you're right near New York City in Connecticut, you might want to see New York and not Connecticut. So we've got to kind of determine a logical center point for Connecticut, or do something with boundaries, or something a little more creative. We can do that too. Tokyo longitude. All right, so we've now got a handful of markets. I'm going to, I don't need this, bring this back into here, and so if I run this, I shouldn't get any errors. Still get Boston as the default. I'm going to, just for the sake of it, show that I have access to that. Cool, sure do. Okay, we are also going to add the jQuery library to this. Come on, don't. JSBin's having a moment here. jQuery 3, perfect. Actually, I think I used jQuery 2 too. Which means I now need to remove jQuery 3. Okay. So I'm going to use jQuery to do some looping things inside of here. So I'm going to say man, I wish this would show line numbers. Let's see. I feel like it's only fair if you're going to complain about them to show them, right? Yeah, it's probably preference somewhere. Ah, I see. That's what I want. Let's see. Each yeah, perfect. Okay. Was that JavaScript? Okay. ES6 JavaScript definitely has a nicer syntax for doing this, but this is still pretty readable. We're just going to do a pick this, run it. That didn't work. Hey, cool. Okay. I'm going to change these to be name. That makes a little more sense. And I should probably capitalize them too. Actually, I kind of like them lowercase. We'll leave them. Okay, now that doesn't work because I just changed it. So, clear and run. Market is Chicago. Okay, so the console here doesn't work exactly like it does in browser tools, but that's not a big deal. I can put a plus here too. A little nicer. Uh-oh, broke something. gonna stop breaking things. Okay, cool. So fair shortest distance equals we'll fix that in a second. So function calculate the distance between points. One position, two. Okay, actually this is interesting. So I've split this out in latitude and longitude here and here, but really I want to compare two positions. Let's see if that's a predefined type. No, it can't be. It's not a predefined type. So let's see what a position contains. So let's do console.log position, comma, position. And then I will comment this out so we don't have that mess showing up every time. Oh boy. Okay. That's totally okay. So actually we can do this pretty easily. So I'm putting latitude and longitude inside of an object called position here so that I can compare two positions easily and not have to break things out into latitude 1, longitude 1, latitude 2, longitude 2, etc. Okay, so let's see. All right, now I should have those on positions. This will break some things, I'm sure. No, it's fine actually. Okay. So let's do that calculation. So alright, we're just going to grab the x distances and the y distances. This is just pretty simple basic geometry for distance between 2 points. So it's kind of a difference in the x, and the differences in the y's will get us the distance between the two. So I'll show you distance between two Cartesian points. We'll have to do some math because we'll do, yeah, okay, so I'll explain what I'm doing because we're going to have to do some absolute value stuff to get it to work on the map because some latitudes and longitudes are positive and negative, and at certain points it wraps around to 0. So that's totally fine. We can do that. Okay, first let's show this. Difference between distance between 2 points. This is in 3 dimensions here, but 2 dimensions is no different. So it's the square root of the sums of the squares, basically. Sums of, yeah. it's a lot easier to show than it is to say. So I'm going to say distance equals math.sqrt. I believe that's how you do it in JavaScript. Yeah, perfect. Math with a capital M. So grab the square root of position 1 dot latitude minus position 2 dot latitude squared then plus position 1 dot longitude minus position 2 dot longitude squared. Okay, so I'll just show that this will return some funny values at first, but let's do that. So I'm going to do console.log distance 2 plus markets I dot name is so we're calculating the distance between position, which is my current position, which we get passed in from here, and the current market's position. And we're going to spit all those out. Well, so that didn't... Oh, right, because no, we don't have all the same values. Okay, something's gone wrong here. Okay, so we do have our 5 markets. That makes sense. I'm going to see, position 1 dot latitude minus position 2 dot latitude squared. Yeah, that makes sense. Position 1 minus position 2. It really doesn't matter which one comes first, because we could do an absolute value on this. Either way, it'll shouldn't make a difference. Well, we can do some of this math by hand too. So let's do position dot latitude longitude semicolon there, defined undefined. That's cute. Oh, look at that. I created my... I see what's happening. So I read this wrong. It's position coordinates latitude. Okay. We can fix that. Error. Great. Where's that error coming from? Oh, I see. Getting an error at 7427. Man, I really wish this would show me line numbers. Oh boy, I've done it now. That's okay. So let's put this back in. I'm just gonna hop over to Adam for a second to figure out line numbers. 74. It's mad about this. I forgot a plus somewhere, didn't I? Oop. JavaScript. Oh, I see. What's this? Okay, cool. It is remarkably slow to run sometimes. But at least we can see we're getting a number here sometimes, so you can see that we have distances. This is saying I'm closest to New York. Not sure that makes sense. Alright, let's do some of these things by the book, make sure they're working. So I'm going to change these all to be 2 minus 1. Which, again, shouldn't make a difference because they're being squared. Clear this and run it. Okay. Put this up here. Do some nicer formatting here. Yep. Or not. What did I do? Distance to markets and plus. Oh, because I don't have a D anymore. D equals distance between. Okay. Getting better. Let's figure out why this is not a number. Odd that that's not a number. Just going to break this up a bit. Yeah, square root. Difference of the square, differences squared and add together. Maybe we got Chicago wrong here. -41, -87. Yep, okay. Let's see, what causes a square root to be not a number? It's only when it's negative, which would mean that the square isn't doing what I think it is. Let's find out. Okay, so let's find out what this minus 878114 is. If we square that, hey, that's confusing. Okay, we'll do it this way. That must be a bitwise operator or something. So we'll do, what was it? Power, POW. Power math dot bow. That. Cool. That's better. Much better. Okay, this is good enough for a dumb estimate. Problems will occur at when the location coming back is somewhere near 359 degrees or 0 degrees on latitude or longitude. So, no, I guess it'd be 180. Yeah, that makes sense. But right now it's predicting correctly that I'm closest to Atlanta at least, which is a start. Let me check the chat window here real quick. No questions. Good. That's how we like it. Okay, so let's recap what we've gotten. So far we've got we've calculated the distance between 2 points using a Cartesian calculation. We've pulled geolocation from the browser window. We've compared our current location to this short list of markets that I've got, which I will need to expand at some point. And eventually we will return a market name. So I can at least do a check. If D is less than shortest distance, then shortest distance equals D. Okay, I did some funny indenting. Selected market equals I. Let's say var selected market equals markets 0. And then down here we'll return the selected market, return selected market dot name. Not bad. Still printing Boston for no reason. Where? I think this might work. I'm unclear. Oop, okay. Okay, let's look a bit at how this works. So I just need to change this a bit. Well, I can just do it here. Console. I think I can do it this way. Okay. I'm gonna have to. So there's some fun asynchronous stuff going on here. Basically, because this command is asynchronous, it fires this off and just waits for that as a callback, which means it goes through the rest of this and returns a market unchanged. So we need to look a bit at how that works. Navigator.geolocation. Okay, that's interesting. So, all right, let me explain a little more narratively what's going on. So, what's happening here is it's doing this geolocation position pull, and the argument that goes in here is a callback function, which executes when this is done. However, what I want to do is have this wait for the current position to come back, and once that's come back, I want to continue on with logic in this function so that I can return the correct market. So, yes, that's fine. Share location. Yeah, there's a lot of fancy stuff we can do here, I mean, it makes sense. So what's going on makes a lot of sense. Oh, that's not where we're looking. Firefox, yeah. Great. That's where I've used a computer before.